On this article on Bleeding Fool, not Bleeding Cool, where these two guys are fighting about The Last Jedi for 2 days straight. It's become kind of an old versus young, kind of a Democrat versus Republican issue. Fans of Disney Star Wars, the Disney Star Wars, are younger and farther to the left, and fans of the original trilogy are usually over 30 and more conservative. Here's the thing. Even the young kids admit that the Disney Star Wars films were flawed. The OT fans attack the Disney films. The Disney fans attack the fans of the OT. You see the difference there. Facts are on the OT fans' side. The Force Awakens made $2 billion. Good job. But The Last Jedi only made $1.3 billion. That tells you what happened. People saw The Force Awakens, and they saw it just based on the name, Power of the Star Wars. The Force Awakens wasn't horrible, but it was obviously a reboot of the 77 films. Fans wondered why they did this. It surprised me also. Has Disney run out of ideas? Isn't there someone who can come up with a continuation to the original 6 stories? It just seems bizarre to me that Disney would take the easy way out and do a reboot, and a reboot that wasn't great. In fact, why not just do a reboot that follows the original more closely? A remake, I mean. It may seem silly, but not as silly as The Force Awakens. For a multi-billion-dollar company to do a reboot seems like such a cop-out. Like they didn't want to take any risks. They just wanted a solid hit. Well, it grossed $2 billion. That's a hit, right? I know this sounds crazy, but it's less of a hit than you think. If The Force Awakens was even half as good as A New Hope, I think it could have made much more money. It got people into the theaters based on the name, but then it disappointed people. They walked out of the theaters feeling underwhelmed. Then, after thinking about the plot for a while, they slowly realized that the film wasn't that good. But we still felt hopeful that The Last Jedi would turn things around. Maybe they would explain why Rey was so powerful without training. Would we see Rey and Finn get romantically involved? We saw them flirting. Obviously, they were going to have a romance in The Last Jedi, right? I mean, that's what it led us to believe, and we're all kind of hoping for it. They're such a cute couple together. And then we got to The Last Jedi, and it completely missed the mark. Right from the beginning with its comedy, but the comedy, that's not Star Wars. None of The Last Jedi was Star Wars. It was Jake Skywalker, not Luke Skywalker. The Last Jedi was so bad, you knew it when you're in the middle of watching it. The interaction with Admiral Gender Studies was written by an idiot. It was written by someone with no military experience, by someone who has no idea how a hierarchical structure works. There is no way someone with the leadership skills and communication ability of Holdo would ever make it to a high rank, because she has no communication skills, and she's not a leader. She doesn't have command presence. She has the presence and gravitas of your grandmother, who for some reason wears ball gowns. Seeing Admiral Holdo in a ball gown made me roll my eyes, but then I realized why they did it. If she wore a military uniform, it would be a bridge too far for people to accept. It would point out how ridiculous the whole story was. Because, there's no way that she got there on merit. She never led a group of 8 guys into battle. She never walked point looking for ambushes. She doesn't feel like a soldier. She feels like a high school teacher. Anyway, people are still arguing over The Last Jedi, but its defenders never come out and say it's good. They focus more on defending Rey from being called a Mary Sue by claiming Luke and Anakin were also. The difference is that people love Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. People are just disappointed with Rey. Anyway, I'm curious to see what happens in Episode 9. I assume it's going to be bad. I wonder if the kids will still defend it. This article here, Digital Spy, Star Wars Forces of Destiny explains how Rey is so good with the Force. Okay. The new animated series, Star Wars, is off to a flying start with a short story that helps explain how Rey could be so skilled in the Force after so short amount of time. So even they found it was necessary to explain that horrible, horrible plot holes. Fans complained that Daisy Ridley's character in The Force Awakens went from normal to powerful enough to defeat Kylo Ren without much time in between, and that was a very valid complaint, especially if you saw the original trilogy and you know how the Force works, how skills take time to develop. But Sands of Jakku suggests that she was so skilled because she had already started tapping into the Force before she became involved with Finn, Han, Chewie, and the rest. The Forces of Destiny episode, set just after Rey encounters BB-8, clearly demonstrates her using the Force to sense the Night Watcher worm that's trying to make a snack of the droid. This seems to be something that comes naturally to her. Rey's ability to go toe-to-toe with Ren would make more sense if she had been tapping into the Force for years. Her sudden jump in power wouldn't be so sudden then, would it? The theories are that she was a student of Luke's as a child before being abandoned on Jakku. Okay, that seems like kind of a stretch, but at least they're trying to explain something. Forces of Destiny is spotlighting the female heroes of Star Wars. Oh, of course you are. Rey, Jyn Erso, Leia, and whatever. Nobody cares. Yeah, okay, so at least they're trying to do it. At least they're trying to explain the massive plot holes. But, we'll see. This Bleeding Fool article, did Kathleen Kennedy confirm that Episode 9 is about villainizing Trump? By Ichibaka. Looks like Episode 9 will be about our own planet right here and now, rather than a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Make the Empire great again. Enter Airhead Kathleen Kennedy in an interview with Vanity Fair, May 2019. Readers of this blog may recall the Photoshop scandal from that article. I do not recall that Photoshop scandal. Kathleen said in the Vanity Fair article, because regardless of whether or not Star Wars has changed since 77, the world around it has, profoundly. There's a loss of innocence. People say that literally every generation. Remember buggy whips? A sense of innocence that existed in the 70s. They say that about the 1870s. That I don't think to any extent exists today. Social media. Kennedy says, I think that has to permeate the storytelling and the reaction to the stories and how they're set up. It has to feel differently because we're different. Lev Grossman stupidly wrote, we know things as a people and as an audience that we didn't know back then. For example, back then it felt sort of okay to like Darth Vader because even though he was evil, he was also incredibly cool. And that kind of fascism he represented felt like a boogeyman from the distant past. But now fascism is rising again. No, it's not. It's not. I know it's not. Everyone knows it's not. Which makes the whole First Order subplot look super prescient, but it also reminds us that fascism is not even slightly cool in real life. Well, the Hugo Boss suits were very, very cool. Written like an adolescent who wasn't alive back then and therefore had no idea what they're talking about because their idiot professors don't teach them anything remotely resembling reality. Yes, exactly. Evil needs to feel and look very real, Kennedy says. And that's what it means today. And that's what it means today may not be as black and white as might have been in 77, coming off kind of a World War II sensibility. Yeah, explaining the dogfights and the cockpits, whatever. Now, today it's blue and red. But my guess is that Kathleen fell asleep during any World War II documentary that her boyfriends made her watch. So everything she knows about World War II likely comes from Indiana Jones. Oh, okay. So, these, Ichibaka, cute. These, comments, there's 100, my God, I think when I was here earlier, there was only 50. These guys, I'll just read the first couple comments. No interest in this trash. I used to love Star Wars. Although no one asked for your trash opinion, me and the others won't miss one acid tongue ex-fan. Okay, so the first film did $2 billion. The second film did $1.3 billion. So if you're following, and then Solo, of course, bombed. So if you're following that progression, Episode 9 should do poorly also. I don't think it will, because I think people want to see it, one, to see how bad it is, and two, just because it's the last in the series. It's the last of 9. I actually think it'll do pretty well. And I'm sure it will be an absolute disappointment. These guys go on, and it feels like it's a young versus old, a left versus right thing, because they start talking about Trump. Trump sings "Sunshine" and "Rainbows" on the Republican front. Okay, yeah. So it's a Trump combined with the original trilogy versus The Last Jedi combined with, I don't know, Obama or something. But they go on for 2 days. And the most recent comments are like, A sense of innocence that existed in the 70s, laughing my ass off. What? Is she high or something? Star Wars is the way it is because it was an antidote to the malaise and loss of innocence the 70s had brought with it. How the heck did these people get put in charge of these things? Yeah, wasn't there a war going on in the 70s? Or just ended? I mean, come on. Yeah, Kathleen Kennedy is an airhead. I don't know how she got her job. I don't know who she had to blow to get that job, but she does not deserve it. This guy says it wasn't cool to like Darth Vader back then. It was. It was. It just wasn't. The hero to little kids, the hero of the original trilogy was definitely Luke Skywalker. But then when you got a little bit older, you looked at Leia and Han, and their romantic interaction was much, much stronger. But as you got out of your teens, you probably looked at Darth Vader and the Empire and thought they were pretty cool too. But little kids were definitely all about Luke because Luke was a much simpler character. The farm boy, kind of a religious character. This article confirms nothing but the author is a hateful misogynist who is attempting to claim his warped beliefs for being attacked by a strong, opinionated, independent, and successful woman. The only people seeking a safe space are Trumpers, whom this author is obviously one of. Oh, anyway, they continue to go on and on. Or the rest of the comments. But they start calling each other, what's the word I can't say on YouTube? Socialists of the 1930s Germany. So they're calling each other, essentially fascists and sexists and all kinds of stuff. It's just name calling. Anyway, I thought this was interesting. Leave a like and a comment and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I think even Daisy Ridley is getting tired of Star Wars, which is a shame because in The Force Awakens I actually had hope. I kind of thought the first half hour of The Force Awakens was really good. The setting was great and it felt like Star Wars, and then it just kind of got weird. It felt like Disney took over because Disney took over. Anyway, talk to you later.